What is up, everybody? It's your boy Squawk here. Today, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go through a strategy test. We're going to put the lightning bolts through a strategy test from January 1st to current day. Today's the 14th. I think March 14th. I think I have data up until tick data up until the 10th. So we'll run it from the 1st to the 10th. Basically, I'm looking to automate the lightning bolt strategy. If you've been on my lives or if you've been in any of my community or any of my Zooms where I talk about the multiple confluences and such that I look for when entering and also when exiting trades, it's all built into this right now. It's pretty much, this is a beta test right now because I pretty much put this code together within like 3 days of work. So basically, I'm just running through some tests and I'm looking to see where I need to improve. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen. And let's see here. If I share the screen, you should be able to see now the settings for the lightning bolt indicator. So for those that are familiar with the lightning bolt strategy, you know about various modes like aggressive lightning bolt mode or turning candle mode off, candle detection off and such. We won't talk about that. What I want to talk about is the lightning bolt automation settings. So here you can enable your lightning bolt automation settings. And here we have a field where you can enter the number of maximum simultaneous positions you can hold. And also what we do is once we get our lightning bolt, I always say I like to enter my lightning bolts somewhere between 0 and the Fib 236, 23.6% or 382. If it's beyond that, I'll wait for a retracement for it to enter. But for this test, I'm going to run it at 50%. And the reason why is because I also have a setting down here, which is enabling banned targets. But what it also does when I'm enabling these banned targets, what I'm also doing is I'm restricting the entry. So the entry has to be, if you're selling, it has to be in the upper band. And if you're buying, it has to be in the lower band. So that's restricting that 50% of the fib zone down to a little area within these are going to be overlapping areas if you could envision it, and it's going to create a little window where entries can be made. Your strategies, you can select from a break, retest, and continuation, or just candle close or impulsive. And there's a few other things here that I have. I'm not going to really go into deep explanation, but just go over quick things here. There's enabling an opposite pending order, where you can enter opposite pending orders if things don't go your way. And let's see here. Exits, we could do partial mode, and partial mode is for all positions. The partial percent is 50%. And let's see what I have here is, my targets. So you can enable SMA targets or disable it if you want to target SMAs. So you can plug in your own SMAs where if price is crossing and touching those, it'll automatically take those partials. This is what I always talk about in my community and in the Zooms. And also you've got fib targets. So if you didn't want to do the SMAs and you wanted to play the fib game, you can plug in your fib targets here. And as price enters or approaches those levels, it will take partials and so forth. There's a lot of other things going on here with, my zones, my squawk zones, and my squawk zones. It's got to break and retest. And, it's got to look at that logic as well, looking at price action as well. But that's pretty much it. Here's another setting for auto stops to break even, automatically moving those stops to break even when certain conditions are met. I won't go into that just yet, but this is very rough. So we're going to just run this test and see how it goes. I just put in a little bit of code. So I'm just going to test it right now. So this is January 1st to the 10th of March, and we're going to rock and roll. The spread is realistic. It's current spread. And right now it is 10:14 p.m. Pacific time. So it's Asia market approaching London market. So we're going to run it with real spreads. And we're going to just see how it goes. I'm not going to show the ticks or the charts playing out. I'm just going to look at the chart just so that we can speed this process up a bit. And let's see what we got. So I'm clicking run, and let's take a look at the graph. And if you take a look at this graph, there's going to be some drops like that there. It went from 11,000 to 3,000 quite quickly. I am not impressed with this equity line. I have written expert advisors where the equity line was way tighter than this. So once again, this is only a few days in, maybe a week, maybe 5 days in of coding. So I will be working on cleaning this up. making sure that this equity line does not look like this, but let's just see what happens here. Let's see how this handles this. And once again, this is US 30. So this is running US 30 on a 5-minute chart between January 1st and March 10th. Right? Did I say that correctly? January 1st to March 10th. Yes. So let's take a look. We'll just let this run and we'll just see what happens. You know, there's a lot of work that goes into creating an EA and automating the process. You know, one is your entries, your exits, and making sure you can find those confluences that you normally look for. But there's logic that's in there, you know, that looks at the equity. If the equity goes up a certain amount, you're automatically then taking that, you know, taking those profits, realizing those profits, you know, turning that equity into your cash account immediately. You know, so, but if you can see here, I'm not really, my equity doesn't really run away from my cash balance. So if you could take a look here, if you could take a look here in this area, there is a green line, which is your equity line, and the blue line is which is your cash balance. So the difference between the two is either your running profit or loss. So if you've got runners or if you got a trade that's open, it's the trade that is either in profit or loss that you did not close out yet, so that you did not realize that profit yet. So if you could see, my equity line stays very close to my balance, and that's simply because I'm taking profits quickly and often. So we'll see where we go here. Right now we're at January 20th, and we're running at around $140,000. So it went from 100,000, it's a 100K account, to 140,000. And basically what I'm doing in this particular test, I'm running it at 2% per trade, per position, right? So as I mentioned, I can define how many positions I want to have running at the same time. How many times can I buy in? But that's 2% per buy-in. But there's logic around that to protect and so forth. So if you could take a look, our drawdown, I mean, our account low was what? I think it was what, 99,000. Let's see here. 98,000, 97,000 was the lowest equity that we ran so far during this test. And right now we're at 221,000. And we are, I think we're probably midway through the test. We are, let's see here. January 26th. Okay, so we're a third of the way through the test. So these things here, like this drop here, this is the stuff that I have to work on. So you see this line is all squiggly. I look at it, I try to look at it like a piece of thread, and you got to just pull the ends and tighten it up. So, you know, of course, I'm going to be going in, taking a look at these time frames or these periods in time to see what the market was doing, what happened. Once again, I don't have logic yet that closes the position before the weekend, you know, so that could have been a gap, right? We could have opened up on a weekend and during a gap. Don't know, I've got to investigate that. But the way I'm going to write this is where I'm closing over the weekends automatically. I'm not going to hold over the weekends. And keep in mind, in EA, we're running this over time, but usually in EA, you don't just let run, you know, forever. You understand the market conditions that the EA thrives in, and then you release it during those periods of time, and then you take it off, and then you release it during those periods of time. But I'm running a straight test, just picking random times. I'm going to go back all through 2021, also just to run it through some tests and see if it can at least maintain the balance, not give up too much, maintain the balance, and of course take advantage of the opportunities where price pushes up. So right now, our high was, I think we were at what, 225,000. We dropped all the way down to 162,000. And we now ended up, that test, that little squeaky means this is the ending of the test. And we ran up to $238,000. What are my concerns? Well, the lot sizes, what are the lot sizes that I was dropping? So the lot sizes were 2.40. You know, these are lots that, hey, I could drop these in the market. I'm not dropping 200 lots. So I'm not expecting the market to really react heavily on this. I'm testing this with with true spreads. So right now this looks good for, you know, throwing the code together, slapping it together. But of course, I've got a lot more work to do. This here, don't like this, got to protect this. This is all that I need to work on, all this stuff here to protect. But once again, this is a beta, but I wanted to share it with everyone just so you can see where I'm at with it. And I think that's it. So happy trading.